Welcome to this episode of the story. Have you subscribed yet? Chapter 1, Arrival in Chang'an, Danger Lurking in Camel Bells. In the 11th month of the 14th year of Tianbao, the north wind carried the dampness of the Wei River past the eaves of Chang'an city gate, making the bronze bells tinkle. The sound mingled with the cries of Hu merchants in the western market, Persian frankincense, 2 coins a handful, silk cotton-padded robes from Shu, warm for winter, and the clatter of camel caravans tramping over bluestone roads, weaving the unique bustle of the Great Tang's imperial capital. Yang Zhao reined in his camel's reins. The hem of his coarse merchant robe still bore the yellow sand of the Hexi Gobi. At his waist hung a scimitar sheath, on which the dark brown camel bell pattern swayed slightly in the wind, a symbol of the Hexi Merchant Guild and proof of his status as a newly promoted helmsman. On his shoulders rested the honor of the guild that the old helmsman had entrusted to him before departure. Guild honor is more precious than silk. He was escorting 20 carts of Shu brocade, a task personally assigned by the old helmsman. Before leaving, the old helmsman had handed him a yellowed manual for Blade of the Hu Wind splitting the sky, saying only, "Chang'an is a place where dragons and tigers hide. Knowing some martial arts will help you protect yourself." Yang Zhao had taken it as a routine reminder at the time. But it wasn't until a tall Hu merchant with a high nose and deep-set eyes approached that he sensed something was wrong. Is this young brother from the Hexi Merchant Guild? The Hu merchant wore a pointed Hu hat, twirling a silver camel bell between his fingers. His accent mixed Turkic and Central Plains tones, but his gaze kept drifting to the brocade packages on the camels. Yang Zhao understood basic Hu language and nodded with a smile. "I am. Just arrived from Hexi, here to deliver brocade to Wang's cloth shop in the Eastern Market." The Hu merchant's eyes lit up, and he reached out to touch the brocade packages. "Wang's cloth shop? I'm an old acquaintance of Boss Wang. Why not sell the brocade to me instead? I'll pay you 20% more, how about it?" Yang Zhao stepped aside to avoid his hand, but his fingertips caught a glimpse of the scimitar at the Hu merchant's waist. It wasn't carved with the wolf or eagle patterns common in the western regions, but a faint character wan. Rust still clung to the gaps in the blade, nothing like the weapon a legitimate Hu merchant would carry. Ordinary Western region merchants' scimitars were either plain or carved with auspicious eagles. He had never seen one marked with Wan in Hexi. The brocade is already promised to someone. "I dare not break the contract." Yang Zhao deliberately slowed his speech, his tone polite as a guild disciple, but his hands secretly tightened around his scimitar hilt. The smile on the Hu merchant's face faded, and he didn't press further, only leaving a "what a pity" before melting into the crowd. He glanced back at the camel bell pattern on the caravan as he left, and the inquisitiveness in his eyes made Yang Zhao's fingertips grow colder. That night, the guild party stayed at a warehouse inn near the Western Market. In the backyard warehouse, 20 carts of brocade were neatly stacked, and Yang Zhao took turns guarding them with 2 disciples. By the warm light of a lantern, he took out the Blade of the Hu Wind splitting the sky manual and began practicing basic moves in the courtyard. The core of this saber technique lay in condensing ki into form. One must draw internal ki from the dantian to the arms, channel it along the meridians, and concentrate it in the scimitar. When swung, it could create a tangible, lethal ki strike. The old helmsman had said, "Start with the crescent ki strike. Only when the ki strike doesn't dissipate have you mastered the basics." Yang Zhao assumed a stable horse stance, took a deep breath, and his internal ki flowed like warm water from his dantian to his right arm. His sword hand gradually grew warm. Following the manual's instructions, he rotated his wrist clockwise half a circle, and the scimitar sliced through the air with a whoosh. A bright cyan crescent-shaped ki strike burst from the blade, skimming the ground and slicing a half-finger deep gash in the old wooden rack at the corner of the courtyard. Splinters scattered onto the blue bricks, still trailing faint cyan ki filaments. "Great move, Helmsman Yang!" Disciple Zhaoer couldn't help but cheer. But Yang Zhao frowned. The ki strike had taken shape, but fine strands of ki drifted from its edges, far from the undissipating blade wind the old helmsman had described. He was about to adjust his breathing and practice again, when a loud crash came from the warehouse, followed by the shout of the other disciple, Li San. Who's stealing the brocade? Yang Zhao's heart tightened. He grabbed his scimitar and rushed to the backyard. The warehouse door was knocked askew, and 5 or 6 masked men were carrying brocade out. The scimitars in their hands glinted coldly, exactly the same as the Hu merchant's blade from earlier. "Stop!" Yang Zhao roared, gathering his internal ki again. This time, he deliberately slowed his movements, letting the ki linger on the blade a moment longer. The spats after the meet. The crescent ki strike hit a masked man's back squarely. The man groaned and stumbled to the ground, and the brocade scattered, revealing ordinary shoe brocade inside, not some valuable treasure. The leader of the masked men turned and swung his sword straight at Yang Zhao's face. The blade whistled sharply, and Yang Zhao dared not block head-on. He stepped back 3 times in quick succession, using the warehouse's wooden racks for cover. From the corner of his eye, he noticed a flaw in the masked leader's technique. After each slash, his wrist paused for a split second, a gap for catching breath. Yang Zhao seized the moment, circled behind the leader, and sliced horizontally with his scimitar. The ki strike grazed the man's waist, and the masked leader screamed, clutching his waist and retreating. A bronze token engraved with wand fell from his waist. The remaining masked men, seeing the tide turn, picked up their injured companion and fled, leaving behind only messy brocade and the token. Yang Zhao picked up the token. By lantern light, the wand character was clearly visible, matching the pattern on the Hu merchant's scimitar perfectly. "They're from the Wanbang Alliance." A hoarse voice came from behind. It was the old helmsman of the Hexi Merchant Guild's Chang'an branch. His hair was gray, and he held an identical token in his hand, his face grave. "This is the symbol of the rebel Wanbang Alliance. Rumor has it they're funded by An Lushan, specializing in robbing caravans and gathering intelligence. They've been causing trouble in Chang'an lately. Why would they steal brocade? Our brocade isn't special," Yang Zhao wondered. The old helmsman stroked the token and sighed. "They aren't after the brocade, they're after the guild's movements. The Lantern Festival is in a few days. A noble from the palace will ask us to protect an important item, something the Wanbang Alliance covets. They wanted to probe our strength by stealing the brocade, to see if we can protect that item." Yang Zhao was shocked. "Who is the noble? What is this important item?" The old helmsman leaned in and lowered his voice. "The noble is Imperial Concubine Yang, and the item is hidden in her golden hairpin. It can sense poetic ki and detect members of the Wanbang Alliance. Whenever a Wanbang member approaches, the hairpin dims. You'll come with me to the Kujang Stream Feast on the Lantern Festival. You must protect that item. Don't let it fall into the rebels' hands." Yang Zhao clenched the token, feeling the coldness of the bronze against his fingertips. He thought of the ki strike he'd practiced earlier, of the masked men's brutality, and suddenly realized this trip to Chang'an was never just about delivering brocade. He looked down at the scimitar at his waist. The camel bell pattern on the sheath glimmered in the lantern light, as if reminding him, from that night on, his mission was more than just being a guild helmsman. The old helmsman suddenly remembered something and handed him the token. "Try hitting it with your saber ki." Yang Zhao obeyed, gathering a faint burst of ki and gently slashing at the token. As the ki struck, 2 pale gold characters appeared on its surface. "Fan Yang." "Fan Yang is in Lushan's base," the old helmsman said coldly. "The Wanbang Alliance is in Lushan's lackeys. The item they want is tied to Chang'an's safety. On the Lantern Festival, you must not only protect the golden hairpin, but also be wary of An Lushan's men. They probably want to use that item to stir up chaos in Chang'an." Yang Zhao's knuckles whitened as he gripped the token. The inn's lanterns swayed in the night wind, and the wooden rack in the warehouse still bore the mark of the ki strike. He looked up at the bright moon over Chang'an and silently tucked the blade of the Hu Wind Splitting the Sky manual into his arms. He knew that the Kujang Stream Feast on the Lantern Festival and that important item hidden in the golden hairpin would be his first battle in Chang'an, a battle he couldn't afford to lose, not just for the guild's honor, but for the peace of Chang'an. The story continues, and the subsequent episodes will be even more exciting. Subscribe as soon as possible.